but you don't have to worry about the head. You can hold the far shoulder without the head, so you can reach it. See that? As opposed to having your arm like that. Right? Or you could have a pillow and you could hold the near shoulder or the far shoulder here. You know? So this gives you a little, it's nice, a different perspective. I had a client who used to tell me, being on a pillow is the closest thing to being underwater without being underwater. He liked going underwater too, but it was because so much freedom. Or so, I've started people on the pillow. I remember I worked at the hot springs in southern Colorado, and this lady, she actually bought her husband of 50 years a Watsu, and I swear he had never touched a woman in his life except his wife. And I'm like, I have no idea why she bought it for actually, but
What did she buy him?
a
Watsu
Watsu
session.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, okay, and this is how I started. I started him like this. Here, just like I started him like this. Okay, then. You know, I said, you know, eventually your arm might be behind my back, but right now, if you don't feel comfortable about that, that's just fine. And then I had him stand up. Well, you stand up just like you would. You do the intro thing, you know. And I might even have this under my arm. And then, so I'm going to come behind you. I'm going to put a pillow around your neck, and then I'm going to guide you backwards. So I come here. I still am kind of keeping her forward, and put the pillow on. And I get her braid out. It's nice to have the hair not under their heads. And then I come under their leg and I said, just slowly lean back. You see how slow that is? And they're doing it themselves. And there we are. So that's, or you could start like you normally started. You know, with somebody, you start with the hand in the head in the hand, and you have an arm, and then go around and just pick up the pillow. Do you get what I'm saying? But you want it, if you
Like
have,
figure eights or
no, like when you pick someone up, when you start somebody in your hand with the arm in front of, you know, like, so we're gonna start again, but you know, just, you can just lean this way, you know, and just start them like that, you know. However, so, but so I always have my toys like the pillow on the, or extra floats if I think I might use them, on the side of the pool so I can get them. And I have their head and my dominant hand, and my non-dominant hand to pick up the pillow. And then I get it in the water so it's warm and any bubbles that might be in it are out. And then, do you see how I make it vertical? And then just place her head in it and put my hand underneath. Did you see that well enough? Yeah. Okay, so then my hand's underneath so I can see. You want to make sure the ears aren't caught by the pillow, you know, so in case. And then you just see how is the head resting on the pillow. Now, before we start anything, I'm just going to talk about the general principles of working on a pillow. So bodies collapse in water. So I cannot just leave her here like this and work on her body. Because her body will collapse. The body collapses in water. So I need some vertical current around her body to keep tonus in it. So we do that by weight shifting, so I don't ever walk around the body. You see, I just weight shift her around on her feet. Now I'm going to weight shift her. open her arm maybe. And I'm gonna know exactly where I'm going and put my hands there. If I'm gonna wait, but I don't do all this extraneous stuff. I know where my hands are going and they're there. So do you get what I'm saying? I don't want to do
Even just for a few minutes?
for what? Yeah,
Do some nice stretches or play a sound bowl or do something while we're
no,
stationary?
yeah, you can do a little something, but mostly, then you want to put more floats under their legs so that they don't,
Okay.
they have some stability. You can either
Noodle.
put extra floats on or noodle. I like
That's what
just
I've been
extra
doing.
floats. Just I don't even have to attach them and just stick them under if I'm just gonna do sound.
And that'll help them not collapse.
Yeah, because they have the gravity on them.
Okay, well I've been doing that, so I guess I haven't been affected.
Yeah. But so you see how when so the first thing we're gonna do, we'll put the pillow on, and then we're just gonna wait. See how I'm not moving? I weight shift her around me, and find her heels, and I might be doing something down there. If I want to open her arm, I want to know exactly where I'm going, and I go. So the thing we want to avoid is see that?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know where my hand is going and join. If I don't like where it is, then I'm going to weight shift and change it. I go here, oh, I really want my hand somewhere else. I'm just going to now change it on the weight shift. That's all. So I can go, see, look, yeah, now I'm at her feet. Now I'm at the other side. And do you see how much space they get and flow? As opposed to them just being here and me walking around like this. Alright, maybe I'll work on this leg here. Alright, well here, maybe I'll do this. Or maybe I want to go to the other side. Maybe I'll go down to her feet. You see where it's really not in the water. Excellent. So using the water is using a weight shift to move them and knowing where you want to go.
That's pretty powerful.
I'm just going to come closer to you guys. Everything's done, and so if I'm doing body work, I'm doing it with a weight shift. The first thing is just put on the pillow and weight shift around the body. I can do under the near scapula. So if you put the pillow on, if you look up there, it says scap trap, and you can do scap trap with your foot on. See how my foot arm's over? And I have her scapula here, and I can find her trap with my head hand. And I can roll my fingers right in her vertebral border of her scapula, while I'm playing alternately with her trap. And I could lift a little, which rolls her away. On a pillow, it's not always great to just be face up, because a pillow is not as intelligent as our arm. So a little side is nice. I'm just working up her neck a little with her chops. And I can also put both of my fingers on her chop, on her scalp, and do scalp. I can also go with my head on him. My head arm over and he drops down. It's not always that you do both of these, but you might, but it's just nice that you could do both. It's a little different feel. And you see how I'm using my legs and I can roll it away towards. And that's where my fingers, her body weight goes into my fingers. And you see I have my elbow down by her hip? So there's some, if I didn't have her hip, see I can lengthen through her hip as she comes back this way. I can do that. Or her side. I'm lengthening through her side or hip. As opposed to just doing this, see this, like this. You know, I don't have any contact with her side. So while I'm working her trap and scap, I'm getting length. See, she's weight should be there, but she's getting some length through her whole side body while I'm working the muscles that go there. But see, I'm getting her whole side, right? Does that make sense? I could use her hip in the scap. Just have the back of my hand on her hip. You could just let this foot arm. You could even just use the back of your wrist kind of like, and just kind of, or the side of your hand, and just work down like that. It's now the near spine walk. I really like this move. You put your armpit right over her shoulder and reach down her back on the near side. So because she's kind of shorter and I have longer arms, I can reach past her iliac crest even. But my fingers are right there on her back. And partially because see how I leaned over and my armpit is on, and then I can just reach down. And then this hand can go on her near hip. And I can work along the iliac crest or up her spine. So my fingers are doing this on the near erectors as I have her near hip. I can also put my thumb right in the iliacus and I can weight shift her towards me. You see I'm working the iliacus I can work the psoas there too. And I'm working this side of the erectors. Could even work her psoas here a little, like that. And I'm just counter tractioning the attachments of the psoas up in the spine, and then down here I can roll my fingers. I'm just counter tractioning and kind of holding. I could also just have the hip and work in the glutes as I come up. I can really feel her shoulder. You know, where her range of motion is. Now I could also at some point put both of my fingers on the spine. So I'm working up the spine. My fingers are now here, my head. I can take this one and I can take my hands like this and work. And so it's nice I can work. I still want to make sure that her hip is good. You know, I don't want to cover it. I want to give her some length and structure. I can work up the near side. I can stand up and sit down. I can roll over those erectors. I can feel my fingers rolling over them. And just go up, or I could go. Once you get up past the lower rib cage, you could use the lower rib cage here with the near. I could also finger walk with this hand. This is weight shifting and weighting. Okay, hands back over. fingers apart from each other. Until you get all the way up to the trap. And then you can work the trap and the upper spine more. I could split my fingers and do a little on the other side, but usually I just do the near side. Like near spine walk, I call it. And that was a near spine walk. We're just articulating through the vertebrae, but in conjunction with the hip, or the psoas, or the ribs, or just, yeah, I'm right at the top. It's all weight shift. Anyway, I'm just lengthening between my hands. So. And we could go over, I need to go near and far, so we can always work the near side in any way, just like when we're doing Explore Flow hip, and we're playing the whole piano up and down. Like Harold had us do the near hip, and he also had us do the near side and the near IT band, right? So you could do that here. I could just hold her near shoulder, and I could even kind of play in her trap as I work here or here. Or do any of this. See, I put my elbow in my side and that goes in my front. Could also work the far side from under. So, see, I can reach over here. I don't have her head, so I can reach that far side of her. And that's containment. See that? But now I could do something with this hand. I could either spread her ribs, or I could find the far side of her spine and work it, like walking down the far side. But this is a nice, I could also do a hard spiral here, or abdominal work, because I've got her contained here. She's not sunk down like you would normally in her, but you can still do some nice diaphragm or abdominal work here. And then you're slowing down, in exhaling and inhaling.
Being horizontal, does that drop the organs down so it's harder to access them?
When you have the hips sunk down, they're on slack.
So being vertical
And so
helps them be relaxed.
there's an advantage to it, but this does work still.
Okay.
And I can even just do near far like that.
That's very relaxing.
Yeah. I can make circles. Or just work in the diaphragm only, The diaphragm, I could bake the diaphragm here. We don't always have to be moving, just a little. I'm just going to move a little. You see, I like the respiratory diaphragm. It's the middle diaphragm of the body. And it's wherever our passions aren't met, we tighten in our diaphragm. It's not rational. So you're a little kid and your parents tell you you can't have ice cream. No, you cannot. And there's something in us that goes, we tighten our respiratory diaphragm. It shows on the face. What? And now they might repair and say, well, as soon as you eat your meal, or you already had ice cream once today, tomorrow you can have some more, but no more today. Okay. Okay, so there can be repair in that. But if over and over again people say, no, you can't be a dancer, but even if you want to be, you can't allow your passion to express, we're not going to support that. Right? Then that tightens. So respiratory diaphragm, it's really nice to just say hello to it. And just under your hand, even if you bake it with your hand, just put your hand there and just go, yes, you can have what you really desire in life. For me, the respiratory diaphragm, the heart is a spiral and it's cartilage into the respiratory diaphragm. And I have this image, and that's but it's like the respiratory diaphragm tightens, and all the cartilage that's holding the heart from the respiratory diaphragm tightens. And the heart is in a spiral tightness. So when our passions aren't met, it squeezes our heart. That's the image sorry, that's kind of my little thing, but yeah, I think it's somewhat true. And
It's a nice intention to hold that release as you work on them.
yeah, that we could be working the respiratory diaphragm, but we're working the heart. When they do an autopsy, they have to cut the heart out of the respiratory diaphragm because it's anchored into the respiratory diaphragm. This cartilage. So when we breathe, it helps our heart. When we breathe, our respiratory diaphragm comes up and down. And when our kidneys close and open, right? Anyway. So you could work there. So that's Fargate. That's an under. That's under. I could also go over, and Harold used to do this on the stairs. You'd have people resting on his legs, get reach over like this. And this could be a nice compression, actually. The other is nice, but you see how you can compress it. You could also work the QL here, see that? I can make a little heart with my fingers on the QL, so I could do that. See, I could if I could hook her too, I can kind of, there. You see that? I can work the QL really nice and make a heart with your fingers, like that. You can just hold tissue. So it's more of an, what do you want to do? Far gate over, just like we were doing, and I just have to have some part of her shoulder, but see, I don't have to have her head, so you could do some of the stuff that you can't, that's harder because they're bigger. You could do it here. There's a little more space. I don't have to have her head. I don't have to support her head. Yeah. You could do an arm work like that. You could do it from underneath too, but you could do an arm leg rock here. And I usually, if I'm doing an arm leg rock, I want to be close to the shoulder with the arm. And you have to be careful on a pillow because you're really the center, and their head has to have time to finish in one direction before you go to the other, because their head is so free that they could get dizzy. Now, there's one thing that's up there, near shoulder over near thigh. Yeah, we could do this. So you can put your armpit over the near thigh and find their glutes. Now my fingers are on their glutes, my fingertips. And I have their shoulder. You can see how I'm right on the glutes. I can work in the glutes if I can reach out on the iliac crest. I can also put her knee. I can put her knee. I can feel her shoulder.
Figure 4?
Yeah, not quite. Do you see how I put it right inside of my hip joint? So I'm not putting it across my belly. I just hook it there and then find here. Now with people who don't bend, this is great because I'm moving their body down around their knee rather than trying to bring their knee up. You see that? See, I'm weight shifting this way, and you see how she's flexing because her body's moving. No, I'm not trying to flex her, because there's just a stable point here. And then I can find her traps, and I can work in her traps, and I'm working in her glutes, so I can strip my fingers in her glutes while I'm doing this, or if I can reach, you can get to the iliac crest. So I could be here, and I could find her iliac crest, and I could work it. Depends on the size of the person, but you can at least get to the glutes. And I'm just working in her glutes and weight shifting into her feet. And it affects her trap because I'm releasing her glutes, and hips and shoulders are related. So the hips they're very related. So if I'm stripping through her trap on the near side, and I'm stripping through her glutes on the near side. If for some reason she's too much on her side, I could just put my hand under her scapula and see how that twists her a little, but I'm also in her scapula. You might as well look at this other one. So then you could come down the arm and find the bottom of their foot. Now when people they don't bend, but if they can sit in a chair, a lot of it has to do with the fact that they feel gravity under their foot. So I'm gonna just put her foot on my sternum or your shoulder. And see, I'm pulling her arm down, so I'm depressing her shoulder while she's bending. You can put it on your shoulder. I use my sternum. And you see, she's abducting and flexing her. And at the same time, I'm working the inside of her arm. So I'm stripping across like this, and her elbow. And see, then I can flex and extend her a little too. And I'm just going down the inner arm, and it's such a nice pressure release to do this. And it's nice. Anyway, I'm not going to spend as much time as I could here, but, and then you could get down to the wrist, you know, and you strip the wrist.
Is it best to have palm up or just like
Well, if I'm doing the inside of the arm, it's palm up right now, but I will go palm down. But first I'm going to work the palm, you know, do some work in the palm, between the fingers, in the middle. I'm just doing that fast. Could turn the palm face down, and I could do what I call milkies. See that? Like that.
Yeah.
And then I could do spreadies, and then I could do each finger. I could go out each finger and pull out each finger. Yeah. And I can hold her above her wrist with my hands. Use both my hands here, same time. And then I could give her another nice flexion. Now, I don't do this with everyone, but if I want to do an extension, I'm going to hold her hand with my inside arm, and I'm going to take her foot, I'm going to put my back against her leg, her lower leg, and I just take my foot and stretch her up, pull her, depress her shoulder down, and give her a nice stretch that way. That's optional. And you want to know who you're working with a little. You know?
That's called the quad stretch, or?
Yeah, no, that's just so then I could go back to a flexion after I did that, you know. After I did that, I could go back to a flexion. And that's all we're going to do. Then we go to the leg or something, or under the knee. Okay.
I like those last ones.
They're nice stretches for, especially if you get someone who does not bend. You can play with those. And so I'm going to go to this side, but I'm not going to do it again, but I'm going to just say if I was ending, sometimes after I've done everything, I'm gonna roll down the back. So I go over the near arm. You can do this without a pillow, but if you do it with a pillow, you can get the traps. I go under her body and my hands over, under, over. And this hand, see if I was in first position doing it, I'd have my hand under her head and I could maybe do a little on her traps, but not really. But with the pillow, I can hold her traps and I'm gonna roll my bottom arm. See, I'm rolling her over my arm, so I'm doing this with my arm. You know, I'm rolling her over my arm like that, and I'm gonna work down to her lower rib cage, and my hand will travel down her forearm. So it's like here, and then weight shifting. You see I'm rolling her away, so I have to stand up a little, and I have her far trap, and I'm squeezing and stripping it. And then I can find her near trap. Do the same thing. And I'm rolling my arm, and see how I'm refinding a little lower down. So you want to, and then I don't want to do this past where the ribs stop. So when the ribs stop, that's it. But when you start, go all the way up, as far up as you can, like my elbow's right there. And then when I roll, see, I can get far up, okay? Then I'm gonna send her to her feet, let's say, and I'm just gonna take the pillow off. Now, I take it off with my non-dominant hand, and I reach under the pillow. See, I'm reaching under to the opposite side. I'm gonna pull it down, replace my hand, and now I have her head in my hand, and then I can walk by the pool and get my toy out of the pool, and then I can do a neck refresh. Because when someone's been on a pillow, you want to refresh their neck somehow. So I could just do a simple one, even find her sacrum, I could find the low, and just do even squeezies on her neck, or roll my fingers on her occipital, or do any part of that neck. There's some neck work, because you want to, for sure, refresh the neck, because any pillow holds the neck in a static position, you know.